Anya stopped fidgeting. She stopped trying to rush towards the edge. Denis's words had the desired effect and left her in a deep stupor. He looked at her blue eyes expectantly, waiting for a response. And not getting one, he repeated, "I've loved you, Anya, since the first grade. Back then, I didn't understand that it would be a long and serious commitment. I was shy around you. I was even afraid to talk to you. But now I understand everything, Anya, like a grown-up." "No," she exhaled, studying Denis's face, which was closer to her than ever before in all the years they had known each other. "I can't believe that a guy like you would pay attention to someone like me. You're smart, rational, well-mannered. You're serious, and what am I? An unfortunate orphan, and brainless on top of it. Don't say that. To me, you're the best. You're perfect, Anya." "No." "Yes, I love everything about you. Your beauty, your unique laughter, your candor, your honesty." Denis could endlessly list Anya's virtues, but suddenly he fell silent. Hope glimmered in his enthusiastic gaze. "Anya, do you, at least a little bit, do you like me?" His heart nearly stopped. Denis dared to ask the question that he had replayed in his mind 100 times, knowing that he would never have the courage to ask it in real life. And now he froze, prepared for any answer. But Anya turned out to be braver. Instead of words, she stretched out a mesmerizing smile, leaned towards Denis, and kissed him herself. Anya's lips were wind-chapped, but it didn't faze the boy whose fantasies were coming true one after another. Intoxicated by the light, sensual kiss, he forgot about modesty, about the roof, about the height that made his knees tremble. "It seems like everything didn't go according to plan," he said, barely after Anya pulled away. She blushed. "You had a plan?" "I did." Denis shook his head, jumped up, and pulled Anya along with him. "Where to?" She couldn't help but burst into laughter. She thought he was leading her to the exit. But Denis found the middle ground, stopping at a safe distance from the edge, and played slow music on his phone. "Shall we dance?" he asked. Without waiting for an answer, Denis slid his hand under the jacket draped over Anya's shoulders and found her waist. "Right here?" she exclaimed in surprise, cautiously pressing against Denis. He nodded, leaning towards her ear so that the wind and music wouldn't drown out his words. "The plan was this: invite you to dance. Say, 'Anya, I really like you.' And then—" Denis gathered his courage. He pressed his lips to hers, overwhelmed by the emotions flooding him like never before. "And then ask you, 'Anya, will you be my girlfriend?'" Anya was taken aback. She became clumsy, stiff, and managed to accidentally step on Denis's foot a few times. He endured it, continuing to slowly spin in place. Denis once again waited for an answer, but tears welled up in Anya's eyes for some reason, and her face contorted in an agonizing grimace. Anya shook her head. "Wait, don't answer so quickly." Denis grew agitated. "I'm moving to another city to attend medical school. I'll be living with my aunt. She has a big house. There's enough space for everyone. Will you come with me?" "With you?" Anya repeated. She pondered for a moment, but it was only for a second. After that, she shook her head again and said decisively, "No." "No?" Denis froze in place, rooted to the spot. He burned a hole through Anya with his gaze, trying to extract the reason for her rejection. "I'm pregnant." She tried to be strong and tough. She tried to hold back, but she couldn't. And in the next moment, she buried her face in Denis's chest and burst into loud sobs. He stood there, shocked by Anya's confession. Then he embraced her, took 2 deep breaths, and asked for clarification. "And who is he?" "Some asshole." "He forced you?" Denis's body tensed like a taut string. "It doesn't matter." "It's important, Anya, it's important!" Denis pulled her away from him. "Does he at least know?" "Yes, he knows. He promised to give me money for an abortion so that Grandma wouldn't find out. But today he said he won't give it. He told me to figure it out on my own, and I'm afraid it's already too late." "Is that why you came here? Thinking that it would make things easier for Grandma? What were you thinking, Anya? To jump off the roof instead of honestly telling her everything?" I can't find the words. I'm ashamed, Denis. I'm terribly ashamed. I didn't want this. I swear to you, I didn't want it. It was horrible. Disgusting." "That's enough." Denis interrupted her and pulled her close again. "Just tell me, who is he? I'll find him and... No, I'm afraid he won't do anything else to you. I'm afraid for you." Denis swallowed nervously. He wasn't a fighter. He didn't participate in neighborhood disputes. But now unknown forces awakened within him. For Anya, he was ready to do anything. "Denis, tell me," she mumbled, clinging to him. "Do you have money? I want to get rid of him if it's not too late." "And if it is too late?" "If it's too late." Anya burst into tears once again. Denis could have stayed silent. A girl without parental support, without education, living with an old grandmother. What could she do? Anya, wait. Can you hear me? Anya, don't cry. Denis wiped away her tears with his fingers, looked into her face, and said firmly, I'll come up with something, I promise. But what? I need to think. And for now, let's get away from here quickly. You shouldn't be cold. Denis took her hand and led her down the stairs from the roof. They descended to the second floor, where they stood for a long time, staring at each other. Anya's face was tear-streaked, with makeup smudged, but it remained flawless nonetheless. Unable to resist, Denis kissed her again. Goodbye. And without saying a word, he left. He walked slowly towards his home, desperately rubbing his cheeks and forehead. Happiness turned out to be short-lived, fleeting, but it left behind deep, unforgettable sensations. Denis's mother greeted him at the doorstep as soon as he turned the key in the lock. She looked him up and down, pointed at his chest, and exclaimed, Well, look at you, denier. How did you manage to get so dirty? You just put on something new. Take it off, I'll wash it. And where's your jacket? The smudged makeup stains reminded Denis of their dizzying embrace with Anya. He clenched his jaw and obediently took off his shirt. You're home early, Elena Viktorovna remarked after she came out of the bathroom and found her son in the kitchen. Denis was sitting, resting his elbows on the table, hiding his face in his hands. How did everything go? I don't know, Mom. I wasn't there. I had to leave. How? Leave? His mother furrowed her brow and stood in a pose, looking at her son from top to bottom. Are you joking? No, Mom. He raised a somber gaze at her. You better sit down. Don't scare me. Elena Viktorovna became alert and sat opposite him. What happened? Where were you? Mom, do you remember Anya Petrova from my class? Anya? Of course I remember. She lives in the neighboring courtyard. A troublemaker. She's pregnant, Denis interrupted her. Elena Viktorovna pressed her hands to her chest, widened her eyes, and exclaimed, Oh God, how did this happen? When did you manage? She's not pregnant by me, but... Her son's words acted as a saving medicine. Elena Viktorovna let out a loud exhale and shook her head. However, there was still a but. Denis caught his mother's wary gaze again and spoke firmly and uncompromisingly. But I love Anya, and I want to marry her,